It's my pleasure to welcome you to another episode of NAFDAC and Your Health. This is a program where we give you reports of how NAFDAC, the agency that regulates food and drugs in Nigeria, safeguards the health of the Nigerian people by ensuring that only wholesome food products and genuine drugs are made available for our consumption and use. My name is Opejemi Urimolade. On this episode of NAFDAC and Your Health, we'll begin with the efforts of NAFDAC at ensuring the safety of the food we consume. This will dovetail into highlights from the stakeholders' engagement that the agency had with stakeholders in the food manufacturing sector of the nation's manufacturing industry. And then, in the second segment, we will bring you highlights from the first biannual meeting of the National Fortification Alliance in the year 2025. NAFDAC has always drawn attention and inspired actions aimed at managing foodborne risks, thereby contributing to food security, human health, economic prosperity, and sustainable development.
We have to be sensitive to what we put in our body. We have to become more acculturated to reading labels. And also to test what may be good, may be bad. If all of a sudden you start feeling nausea, you better find out what type of food. It's not somebody that is trying to kill you. It's very likely what is in the food. We have to be sensitive to what we put in our body so that we use less drugs.
Food security is a shared responsibility of the government, producers, and consumers. Everyone has a role to play from farm to fork.
We're not sensitive to low salt in our diet. The saltier, the sweeter it is, the more pleasant and so on. People think that when you cook for your husband, you put a lot of Maggi or whatever seasoning that the husband will like it and will eat more. The husband will die faster. So that is the education we need to give to our people. That there's nothing wrong in using seasoning. It is that we have to reduce the level.
Another important area that needs to be critically checked is the application of additives to food.
Food additives are materials, I will call it materials or substances or things that you add to food to preserve it, to enhance the flavor, to enhance the color. And so we have so many food additives. But all food additives are regulated by FAO and the expert committee on food additives because we cannot just add food additives anyhow. There has to be maximum allowable that will not injure or cause health issues. So food additives are there, but they have limits.
The use of paracetamol is another dangerous practice that endangers food security.
It was a little crazy for me to hear that people are using Panadol or paracetamol to cook food. It's weird that we use the word weird. Because what can we not do then if we are now throwing Panadol into the pot to soften the meat? Paracetamol is acetaminophen, pharmaceutically, that's the word. And when it is heated, it changes to para-aminophenol. It is toxic to the kidney, toxic to the liver. So it is not like that paracetamol is going to keep at paracetamol after being heated for so long. Paracetamol, you can take up to 4 grams in one day, meaning you can take 500 milligram, which is usual high strength. You can take 2 of it 4 times a day. That's 500 milligrams, 2 tablets, 1 gram, 4 days. But that is for a short time. If somebody is in the habit of using this to cook, it's not paracetamol that the person is taking. The person is taking the byproducts. They are taking the toxic byproducts. And they are not just taking it for 2 days. It has become part of their own regimen in terms of cooking. So when you talk of paracetamol with, use during cooking, you are talking of very, very hot temperature. Heat breaks it down to para-aminophenol, benzoquine. All these byproducts are dangerous. They are toxic because it is not now that you did it only once. If it becomes a pattern, then you start taking the toxic byproducts on a daily basis or weekly basis or for life, and before you know it, the kidney is compromised, is damaged.
It was in furtherance of this drive that NAFDAC, through its Directorate of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, met with the food sectorial group of the manufacturing industry to interact and give them an update on the current happenings as well as what is expected of them in producing safe and wholesome food for public consumption. In her opening remark, the NAFDAC Director General, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, who was represented at the meeting by the Director, Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate, Mrs. Eva Edwards, explained why the meeting was deemed necessary, giving a lineup of activities to look forward to at the meeting and the vision of the agency.
We cannot overemphasize the importance of the food industry to the health and well-being of our population in ensuring the safety and quality of the foods we consume. We recognize that food safety is a shared responsibility. The regulator and the industry working in synergy with other stakeholders with a common goal of contributing to transforming and strengthening our food system to make healthy, safe, wholesome, nutritious diets available, accessible, and affordable for our teeming population. As one of the strategies to achieving this, it is important to embrace risk-based approaches in our regulatory activities. This will ensure that we effectively and efficiently utilize limited regulatory and inspection resources, as well as ease the regulatory burden on the food manufacturing sector, while addressing the pertinent issues that speak specifically to the safety and quality of the foods produced. Categorizing establishments by risk will help us prioritize inspections and monitoring, enabling the agency to focus resources where the risk is greatest. Low-risk establishments will require less frequent oversights, freeing up our resources for higher-risk operations. Targeted training programs can then be designed based on risk categories, where high-risk food businesses will require more intensive attention. Today, we will share with you our risk categorization model for food manufacturing establishments, which is aligned with global best practices and is based on risk profiling factors such as the type of foods handled, the volume of production, the processing methods involved, the history of compliance records, and the target population for which the products are intended. This risk categorization system will guide our regulatory inspections of food establishments going forward. We will also share updates on other regulatory initiatives that will shape the future of the sector. These include traceability in food, the importance of enhancing traceability mechanisms across the food supply chain, ensuring that from farm to fork, we have full visibility of food ingredients, of raw materials, and the food products themselves, enabling a track and trace to strengthen our food system.
The high point of the stakeholders' engagement was a presentation made by Mrs. Amachuku Ufondo on a risk-based inspection and categorization of food facilities, a model which, according to the FSAN director, had been designed and tested for easy regulation of the Nigerian food industry.
Risk categorization of food facilities is a scientific process that identifies food safety priorities, and resources, of course, will be allocated accordingly. NAFDAC cannot be everywhere, and so we trust that the industry will do what they have to do. And then what NAFDAC actually should be doing is verification. So it means that the FBOs, food business operators, are responsible to do all they need to do to ensure that the food comes out safe and of good quality. So globally, there's been a shift from end product inspection and testing with corrective actions towards food safety concerns. So the world has moved from that to preventive checks on the controls put in place in operations to address foodborne risk factors all across the food chain. So there's a shift. And so, like my director already said, NAFDAC has started working on it, training personnel, because we too also needed that mindset shift. And believe you me, we have actually shifted. So by this, I would like you to, when our inspectors come, please, I want you to be patient with them because they need to do a thorough work and so that they can be able to categorize your facility. And if it is good, then they may not have to return back there all the time.
There was also a virtual presentation by a representative of the Danish Veterinary and Food Administration on risk categorization of food establishments, the experience of Denmark. In attendance at the stakeholders' engagement were the Chairman, Association of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Employees, Mr. Fred Tiazo, and the Registrar, Nigerian Council for Food, Science and Technology, Mrs. Veronica Esse. Other stakeholders in attendance include the National Association of Small-Scale Industrialists, Edible Oil Association of Nigeria, and several other stakeholders in the food manufacturing industry. NAFDAC and your health will continue after this short break.
As part of NAFDAC concerted effort to prevent incessant food poisoning and to safeguard the health of the nation, the agency wishes to advise the general public to take the following precautionary measures in food handling. Chemicals are not food, so do not taste with your tongue. It is dangerous to health and it can kill. It is dangerous to cook your meat with paracetamol or any drug. It can damage your liver, kidneys, or other organs. Do not ripen your fruits with calcium carbide. It can cause cancer or damage the kidneys or liver. It is dangerous to use sniper to keep insects and other flies away from any food products. Cooking does not remove sniper. Do not consume any mixture or herbal preparation that do not have NAFDAC number. It could be deadly. Too much monosodium glutamate food seasoning that comes as cube or in sachet can be dangerous to your health. Do not add any chemical to food or drink to make it sour or improve taste. Safe food. Everyone's business. NAFDAC. Safeguarding the health of the nation.
Thanks for staying tuned. You're still watching NAFDAC in your health. Food fortification equals a healthy population. A healthy population equals national development. This is the view of NAFDAC, and it explains why the agency plays a vital role. The National Fortification Alliance holds its meeting twice a year and recently had its first meeting of the year 2025 to advance its function of improving public health through innovative and affordable solutions, among which is being preventive rather than being reactive against malnutrition. Delivering our opening remarks through Mrs. Umar Iri Oboy, a Deputy Director in the Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate, Mrs. Eva Edwards, the Director in charge of FSAN Directorate, enumerated the risks of food deficiency to health and highlighted ways to tackle them.
Macronutrient deficiencies remain a public health concern in Nigeria, as I highlighted in the recent National macronutrient surveys. Deficiencies in vitamin A, iron, zinc, and folic acid continue to undermine child development, increase maternal risk, impair cognitive performance, and reduce productivity. So fortification of staple foods and condiments remains one of the most cost-effective, scalable, and sustainable interventions for addressing these deficiencies. But beyond policy declarations, fortification requires sustained coordination, collaboration, robust funding and monitoring, regulatory diligence, and most importantly, strong partnerships, which is why this alliance exists. As a regulatory agency, NAFDAC is actively aware of the pivotal role we play, not just in enforcement, but in enabling an environment where industry can comply. Consumers are protected and accountability mechanisms are active and transparent.
Also speaking, the chairman of the National Fortification Alliance, Mr. Fred Chiazo, explained the vision of the alliance.
I love food fortification because it's a passion that I've always had over the years, more than 20, 30 years now. And it's something that I want to see that even when we leave a legacy behind that we're able to reach and ensure that this country is on the map of, when you talk about, people living healthy, the vulnerable group being taken care of, Nigeria should be on that list too. That's my passion.
Major stakeholders in the food production industry as well as manufacturers were at the meeting. They include Mrs. Ladigi Bako, the Director of Nutrition, Federal Ministry of Health, Mrs. Rabi Kako of the Standard Organization of Nigeria, representatives of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, and the Federal Ministry of Industry and Investment. Also in attendance were Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, National Food Fortification Program, Macronutrients Laboratory Limited, Flour Millers Association of Nigeria, Sugar Refiners Association of Nigeria, and so on. Some of these stakeholders expressed their commitment to the cause of the National Fortification Alliance.
The work that NFA is doing is very much appreciated by the Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, Professor Manuel on micronutrients prevention and control. Clearly stated it there that we should have this body constituted. And this body should help the government to ensure that the industry are doing the right thing in terms of fortifying our staple food in line with the standards that we have set.
As sugar refiners, we are still committed and will continue to ensure we fortify sugar, because either directly or indirectly, nobody in this school will not consume sugar every day. So we make sure our sugar is fortified to the required level of fortificant so that everyone can be able to have the benefit.
We are happy that it's going on not just nationally but also globally, putting fortification on the spotlight, which is a move that has been long overdue. So we are happy to be part of this movement and we are happy to support this process.
This is where we'll draw the curtains on this episode of the program. If you have comments, complaints, or you want to report cases of unwholesome food products, fake drugs, or rather illegal activities carried out on any NAFDAC regulated product, our doors are always open.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email, reforms reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Don't forget, importing, producing, distributing, selling unwholesome food products, fake drugs, or rather NAFDAC regulated products that are short of being genuine are all criminal acts. They endanger the lives of all. Be part of the efforts to put an end to this criminal act by reporting any suspicious activity in your area. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.